I feel the cool breeze. It's such a lovely tease.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Friday night Posca Paint Party. And we have our special guest that came all the way from LA, Damian Fulton. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Damian. First of all, you guys, this next hour is going to be amazing because you are going to pick up so many amazing tips from this guy who just told me a little while ago, well, I don't really call myself an artist. Well, let me tell you, it's so ridiculous because Damian has been an artist since he was like this big. He won the Frito Bandito contest when he was 8 years old. Let's see, he does work for Disney and Marvel, and he does a lot of freelance work, and you have probably seen his work and maybe don't even realize that you know it. And I wanted to ask everybody to write something in the chat to Damian. If you're a fan of his, if you know his work and you love him, just write something in there and we'll be able to go through all that later. Also,
nice things,
yeah,
Maria.
only good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, is he an artist? Yes or no? I don't know. You decide.
Yeah.
Okay, and then also for those of you who are new, I want to remind you this is really interactive, so you can ask questions in the chat, you can leave comments, and somewhere about 20-30 minutes into this, we will invite those of you who are not too shy to hit the raise hand button, and you can share your work, and so we'll spotlight you. Yeah. All right? And what is it that we're doing tonight, guys? We are how to draw figures in action.
Thank you. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to leave
and don't forget.
Oh, don't forget. Yes. Well, this is kind of important, but we are giving a box of Poscas away like we always do, thanks to Posca. So there will be one winner. All you have to do is hang out with us for the next hour. And if you win, we will post it on Instagram and we'll track you down and get your mailing address.
All right. Thanks, honey.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Drew, let me just say thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man.
I've known you forever, and it is such a, I'm here in your fantastic studio, and I get to see all the inner workings and everything, and we've been chatting it up, and now we get to do some drawing.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, it's really cool for all of you out there. When we first met, I had no idea that you had done the Radical Rick cartoons in the BMX magazines. And then I slowly figured it out after I'd known him for a while. And I was like, oh my gosh, when I was a kid, that was my favorite thing ever. And it's just a really neat thing that the world becomes a small place as you grow up. And, you know, we're going to chat and interview Damian and about his story and all the things that he's done. And it's a real pleasure for me because I've been on that journey too. And now I can share my story. But I keep seeing the same themes of discovery as an artist, the growth of an artist, where it goes and where it came from. And for all of you out there, no matter where you're at in the process, you'll probably recognize some of these things as well. If you're a young person just getting started, let me tell you that it's an exciting time, and you just don't start out doing amazing things. It's a slow process, but man, it is an amazing journey. My journey's been amazing, and I know Damian's journey has been amazing. So we're gonna talk story for a little while and get some sketches going. And I just really want to hear some of Damian's story and then talk about, you know, what he really loves is telling stories. And with art and with ideas and figure, you know, drawing the figure, you can really get like a lot of information by just the posture or the smile or action. And it makes a painting go from good to great.
Yeah, you know, Drew and I were talking earlier. This was probably my biggest influence growing up. And I don't know if you can see it there. I'll put it right down here.
Yeah, maybe Jillian highlight that, yeah.
Yeah, and this is called The Line of Action. This is from an old 60s book, How to Draw Animation by Preston Blair. And one of the neat things that I discovered is every now and then my drawings would be kind of awkward, like they didn't really have the sort of flow that you see here. And I realized when I saw this page that there is an exciting, dynamic line of action. And that's what makes two figures really feel like they're together.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see down here, these are a group of famous, back in the day, Tom and Jerry cartoons. And every one of these have this sort of swoopy line, you know, and you'll start seeing the things that you enjoy, that you look at, have this sort of line of action. Here's a painting, a watercolor painting of a girl, but what makes this so graceful is her technique. And if you look, see that line there? It has a nice fluid line. Even you start seeing these beautiful arcs in the artwork. And some people will say, hey, I think that only works on cartoon characters or figures. Well, if you look at this painting here, and this is, again, you were talking about stories, you know, here's two hot rods colliding.
I love this one. This one's amazing.
And in an instant, one guy's going up and one guy's going, I don't even have to explain it. Most people can look at it. But what keeps this thing sort of flowing is, see that line right there of the two vehicles? Not only does he have a little line and this guy has a little line, but the actual vehicles have a line as well. The last one I'll show you is one that we had up on as sort of showing this.
It's a shame he's drawing on these. I was hoping I got to keep them.
I have one for you and Maria. So this one has a line going this way. Do you see that? And she's got a line going that way. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And so for the advanced person, I have a figure I'm going to show you. And for someone who just wants something fun and playful that they can color and fill in, I'll show you another one. So let's just start with this. And so what I have we'll start with this classic figure here. You know, you'll recognize this silhouette pretty quickly. It has this action line like that. See that? If you're at home and you're sort of following along, you can kind of see there's these two circles, right? That relate to one another. And then we're going to just add an arm and another oval and another oval and another oval. Now, does that start taking shape? Can you see that there's a figure there? And it doesn't look like he's just a boxy figure. And then from this one, you know, of course, you could make him a classic figure, or you can make him a super crazy fun figure. He doesn't have to follow any rules. One of the things we were talking about is not necessarily doing exactly what you think you should be doing. Sometimes you can do stuff that's much more fun and original. And so be open today, as Drew was saying, to experiment a little bit, to have some fun with your character. That could have been traditionally Mickey Mouse, but now he's some kind of triangle-nosed rat.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, if you're feeling like, well, you know, cartoon characters really aren't my thing, but I do like the figure. I do like that it's graceful. Let's see a little curve here. And this curve, what we can do is we can just sort of embellish with a little bit of a chest cavity. And I've got this could be either an action figure, could be a surfer. I'm going to make this guy or girl a javelin thrower, or he's got something there. And so by doing this, I can get kind of the bare bones of my figure, right? I can kind of get an idea of this guy in a pose.
And it's fun.
Oh,
You know, it's almost like you feel it. It's like you're like, we were talking about sound effects, like almost, whoa, like,
yeah, you know, like this guy would go, I know what you mean, you triangle rat. I'm going to get you. I know exactly that. And not only that is, I've got a giant, what is that? That is a
spear
thingy. This looks so violent.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a spear with a,
He's popping his balloon.
he's a balloon character. Yeah. So anyway, why don't you guys start at home doing a figure, either this complicated one or this nice simple one. We'll do this a couple times, and then let's bring them to life with some character.
Yeah. It's neat. Like, so I can remember drawing, and like, so I just did this because
He did this in like 2 seconds, by the way. He just goes, bloop, 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 and it was all magically before my eyes.
But, you know, I'm sitting watching the way he draws, and, you know, I was always down on myself because I didn't go to school, but I still did these things. And it's almost like you're trying to find what's there. It kind of reminds me of Michelangelo, like he's trying to release the
figure within in a marble block.
Yeah. So the same with me. I'm trying to like find them in there, and super exaggerating things. Don't be afraid to exaggerate things. You could give him like super long arms. This guy's like, you know, woo, surfing.
Can you pull out your spit boy here?
Yeah. And so
here's some examples from Drew's collection. And, you know, he showed this to me. I was drawing, and you can see the motion and the arc as he spit out of the tube. But look at that. Whoop. See that little curve there? Whoop. If he was straight up and down, it wouldn't have as much life and fluidity, right?
Yeah.
And this one,
and
go
he
ahead.
was also saying about the surfboard. Like, I didn't even know I did that.
Yeah, I mean, this is an example of you not knowing the rules and breaking them for the better of this. Like, I would never draw. This surfboard is bent the wrong way, but what it does is it almost looks like boop, it got popped out, you know, like a spring, you know, like an old cartoon or something. So
yeah,
that is really awesome.
And so, you know, don't be. I see people be so rigid. You know, kind of draw with feeling and discovery. And another thing I wanted to say is, like, you could draw a figure like this and kind of like not know what it was going to do, and then take another color. That's what's great about these Posca pens, and then detail it a little bit more.
That's what I want to do for sure today.
Yeah. So take it away. I'm going to.
Hey, can I hop in here for just a second? There's a few messages for Damian. Mike Antor said, been following Damian since the 80s. Fiona loves your work. She's so excited. And then a really good friend of ours, Dan Schonenberg, who's local here, local artist, he wrote that he used to get his BMX Plus magazine in the mail, and Radical Rick was the first thing he went to. He's a huge fan. And then we've got Phil Roberts on with us tonight. And Phil, by the way, we are going to spotlight you a little later, so you better be doing
who?
You know, that guy, Phil Roberts, he wrote that Damian is so hot right now.
Okay, Phil, that's enough.
God, it's Friday night. We got to have fun.
Phil's here in spirit. We love you, Phil. God, this is fun. Just drawing.
Do we have to talk?
Yeah, we do. Just to keep
Because that's
it
on the other
interesting.
side of the brain, right?
Yeah. So you guys see this like forced perspective of the hand. And if you guys remember on you know, Monday, and then last Monday I was doing, you know, the geometry paintings. You know, what that helped me do is, you know, especially that scalar version of knowing where things are in space, like falling back and coming forward, and how they get bigger and smaller. And just as a mental exercise, it helped me draw. And I just really loved this. And I wasn't a comic book guy, but like comics, especially like the superheroes like Spider-Man and stuff, they're like super amazing, and getting all the muscle tone and all that. I mean, it's all art, right? So no matter what you're into, whether you're into realism or into comic books or into, you know, abstract, all of these things are important. And when it just comes down to just the fun of drawing, I mean, it is so fun. It is like pure imagination, like the fact that our minds and our hands are able to create these things. And if you're struggling to let it out, try not to try so hard.
Yeah, that's such a good tip.
I mean, we're just sitting here having fun and drawing away. And so this would be good while we draw. So we'll just sit here and doodle, and I want everybody else to kind of practice and doodle. We'll probably run out of paper over here at some point. But so yeah, tell me, like, how did you get started? You were doing Radical Rick first. Why don't you draw a real quick Radical Rick?
Oh yeah. So Radical Rick is this poor kid who has this overproductive rad gland. He was sort of blessed and cursed at the same time. And his parents realized at a real young age that this kid just was getting in all kinds of trouble and they couldn't he was kind of like what is that called? ADHD or ADA, whatever that's called, you know, where you just can't be still.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they found out, they put him on a bicycle and amazing things happened. And he suddenly found his sort of sweet spot.
So is this you as an alter ego or one of your friends?
I definitely was not a radical. I mean, I did a lot of stuff, but Radical Rick had a knack, you know what I mean? Where it just happened. There wasn't anything that he had to prove or do. It was not about, you know, and he was the guy who got the girls. He was the guy who he happened to win a race, but he wasn't in it for competition. He was in it because he loved to ride.
Right.
And yeah, so that's Radical Rick. Now that's kind of an example that Drew's talking about,
yeah.
where you just knock out sort of the underpinnings of what of your drawing, and then with that's what's so cool about the Posca pens, that you can just go right over it. And I don't even mind how underdrawings sort of show through.
Yeah, me either.
You know, it sort of looks like, oh, you can see the brains behind the whole process.
Well, it made me feel good. Like both of us went to that Rick Griffin exhibit in Laguna.
Oh.
And it made me feel so much better about my art because I could see the mess. And my paintings are super messy, especially my early stuff. And, you know, I didn't realize that the stuff that I was seeing in magazines and on album covers was finished art that had been, you know, cleaned up by people and
Pros,
by pros to make it look great. And here it was, my stuff just looked terrible. And then I as an adult, went to this exhibit and I saw his mess. And I was like, oh man, my stuff's not that bad. You know, like it made me feel good about what I was doing. And it really allowed me to loosen up and not try to be perfect all the time. There's somebody else's job to make that look perfect. That's more of a graphic designer's job to like take that and break it down for print. I think a good illustrator or artist is pure creativity. And
you know, on that subject, you had mentioned earlier that we're talking about sometimes, you know, we all want that sort of immediate gratification.
mm-hmm.
But there is something for losing it a bit, right? There is something about, gosh, you know, I can push that a little bit farther. And we were talking about how sometimes we get a little precious about all of our drawing and all of, like, it's art and it's going to be framed. Maybe it's because our parents hung everything up, right?
Yeah.
And that's too bad, because then you get kind of, I call it constipated.
Yeah.
When you draw, like, oh, I can't make a mistake.
Yeah. I really see it in teaching kids. I see the young kids they're just unafraid. They're just like, let's go, let's make a mess. And they crumple up a piece and start over. And it's just so funny. And then at some point, they're afraid of getting it wrong. Yeah. And I'm like, there's no wrong.
That's funny. At some point, they're afraid of getting it wrong.
And so there is no wrong. Like, we're sitting here just having fun. I mean, there's no wrong in this. You laugh, and every once in a while you get a gem.
Yeah.
In that sketch, like when I first did this Spit Boy, it started out as just this little funny sketch. Now there was probably 20 of these on a page, but that one was the good one. That was the one I decided to.
So you did you do thumbnails?
Little thumbnails.
Have you
little scribbles.
Have you talked to everybody about thumbnails, what those are?
I have not, but you should.
Well, maybe that's for another show. But the idea is that a lot of times, you know, a big giant canvas is a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at this, and you think, oh my gosh, it's so spooky, right? But if you start with a little postage size stamp, and by the way, that's how you get the composition, right? You can, if it works in a little tiny thumbnail, you know that it probably will work in a larger format. So anyway, that's a good way to sort of, and then they're disposable. Your ideas are disposable.
Yeah.
You're not as pressured. Oh, I want that one right there.
So at what age were you doing this type of stuff?
I was doing that. I was doing Radical Rick. Believe it or not, I did a little zine when I was probably about 14, didn't go anywhere, with two motocross riders, because I used to like riding motorcycles. And one of the characters was MX Mug, and I don't remember what the other guy's name was.
Oh, yeah.
MX Mug ended up making it into Radical Rick. And MX,
Yeah.
by the way, the MX Mug is more of me.
Yeah.
You know, the wannabe guy, you know, always never winning. And he ends up to be Radical Rick's best friend. So that was probably, you know, I was probably about 13 or 14. And then I was probably doing Radical Rick started and it was probably about 19 or 20, you know. And that, you know what, here's a funny story. I used to love bicycles, and I go into the offices of this BMX magazine with my portfolio.
Ooh, yeah.
I've got all these illustrations, fine art, and back in the old days, you used to do, you know, magazines. Those are paper things that kids, you'll learn someday. Anyway, the magazines used to have illustrations on the cover, not just photography. So I thought I was a really serious artist, and I wanted to show them my, you know, how skilled I was. And I thought, gee, you know what we really need is a comic strip. And I went, comic strip. I'm serious now. I don't draw comics anymore, you know. And they go, we really need a comic strip. So that's how Radical Rick happened. And I kind of fashioned him on Star Wars had just come out. And do you remember Darth Vader had that awesome looking face mask that it almost looked like a skull, you know? And so I said, oh, that's cool. I'm going to make kind of a skull faced dude. And I don't know, he still kind of he's changed over the years, but he still sort of has that. Ooh,
I liked how you just saw his eye. Like the blackness in his helmet.
Oh yeah.
But you see how, you know, this exercise of having fun and just exploring is really where the birth of a good idea happens. Yeah. And I mean, I would probably think that at some point you were drawing many versions of this character and you landed on something that just resonated and was rad, and that was it.
Yeah.
And
no, I was just going to say, it's funny too, is over the years, I look at my early drawings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you ever do that?
Oh yeah.
And you go, and then sometimes the early drawings are so free. Like I wasn't trying as hard, you know?
So I hope everybody kind of gets the looseness of this. Like, you know, I got a couple here, and I do this all the time. I usually do it with pencil. And then, but this is a great way to do it with the Posca pens. With the pencil, I usually do a bunch of little thumbnails and then marry them together, see which ones I like.
Would you just keep layering on top of that?
So like if I thought this was like a super winner, I would probably do a piece of paper over this and then do a fine drawing around it to really get the flavor I want. I might, like, I have this little character here that's getting ready to get landed on. I think it's a girl. You know, I'd probably make her a little bigger. She looks a little small. So, you know, I'd fix some things that I didn't like. That would be your opportunity. But you can, you know, really inspired by Damian's idea here of figures with action. So this figure's cool by himself, but then you put this other figure like, oh, I'm about to get squished. It makes it funny.
That's the story. You put the story back in it, right?
And that's kind of what we're talking about. So if you notice, like some of my drawings where I have like the big fish eating the little fish, well, the big fish is cool and he's all gnarly looking, but it just makes it, when I put the little fish in there, get all scared, getting ready to get eaten, then it's a whole package. So think about that with your ideas, like what can you add, or, you know, at some point it becomes too much. Like, you know, every once in a while you'll see one of those things like Where's Waldo? And you don't really know what the story is. There's a lot going on. So, you know, it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be 2 or 3 little characters. Usually the interaction between two is pretty good. Damian's done some great ones of the surf spot out in front of his house up in the South Bay up there. And I've surfed up there. It really is like that. It's a hard place. And when you see all these like different characters, and it's just funny how you put all those characters in there. It's like,
I saw your little drawing here now. Like, I have no idea where I'm going, but that looks so cool.
It's fun.
So we have a few people that want to share, and this is what I thought we should do. I'm going to just, first of all, give you guys an update. have 121 people on right now, and there are people joining us from all over the world, including we've got a couple people, CJ from Okinawa, Japan.
Wow. Hey, CJ.
Nelson, and again, it's super early in the morning there. Nelson's in Sydney, Australia. Sylvia from Italy. We've got Laura from Dublin, and then of course people all over the US. And we've got, you have a lot of fans on right now. Debbie wrote, Damian, I love looking through your work. It reminded me of building and learning to draw with my dad, Hot Rod. I think she's referring to Hot Rod, one of the artists that joins us. That's his name. So I think, is that who you mean, Debbie? And she said that she just loved your painting, the one titled What Lies Beneath.
Oh, great.
There's so much to see in your art.
Oh, thank you.
And all right, so why don't we, we're going to go over to Santino and see what he's working on. And then we're going to go to Keone, and then we're going to come back.
Well, are we already doing that? We got things that we want to talk about.
Yeah, but well, what I want to do is kind of spread it out.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so Santino, we're going to come say hello to you. Hi.
Hi.
Show us
Yeah,
what you're
I've
working
seen
on.
you before.
Yeah.
So you're always drawing here, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Nice to meet you.
He loves to draw. Let's see what you're working on, Santino. All right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
gonna do like
man.
the whole band. I'm doing a sketch here, so I'm gonna do like a sketch of the trumpetist, then a sketch of the bass, the guy that plays like the big one. I don't know how you call it.
Yeah,
And then like drums and the saxophone.
perfect subject matter, Santino.
Very jazzy.
I'm gonna do kind of like a replica of Miles Davis quartet,
Yeah.
Nice.
but all like sketched out.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
And then here's
Oh,
the
your,
way-
the view from the tube from last week. Amazing.
Ah, bet.
I need the last details, but it's there.
It's looking good. And then you're going to have your surfer in there?
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't have to have them in there. You could just be like the from the eyes, you know? You don't need the
Yeah,
surfer.
what's that? POV, right?
Yeah, POV.
Awesome. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, thanks.
We're going to go over and say hi to Keone.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm still sketching, but I'm trying to like do a backflip. A guy doing a backflip.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
see the curve. You're getting a little bit of that action line.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do like line you said. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can see it. Well done, man. Well
Yeah.
done.
And so,
Awesome.
so just keep it loose, Keone, and just maybe you'll have to do it a couple times. So don't be like do it on scratch paper a bunch of times, and then you'll
Okay.
find the one that you like the best.
Yeah, I'll try that.
You know, because a lot of people think that, you know, we're just drawing right onto a canvas and making something amazing. You don't see the piles of paper that we go through of ideas before we go to canvas. So, you know,
Okay.
I
it's,
think that's great advice.
yeah.
Don't get too stuck on it. And then and by the way, then you're like, if you have a not your best idea, but you're so excited to get it on canvas, all of a sudden you're living for the next month or however long you're painting something with something, the foundation is off, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just, you know, doing this part right here for me, the sketching is so much fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you like more questions. So what was it like working for Disney?
I had the coolest gig ever. Early on, when I was a young guy, I was actually directing TV commercials with the Disney animated characters. You know, I would shoot live action people, and then the animators would animate them in. And my sneaky wife, we were big fans of Disney, and we go to Disneyland all the time. And my sneaky wife saw that they had, at Disneyland, at this shop, they had artists in the window, and they would draw posters and then they'd make watches out of the paintings.
Oh, wow.
And my wife, well, I'd go over there at Disneyland, I'd watch the guy draw, like, you know how fun it is to watch people draw, right? And my wife was over there saying to the manager, goes, "Oh, those guys are pretty good drawers." She goes, "You know, my husband is really good." So my wife got me a job painting at Disneyland.
God, that's crazy.
I know. And I would work all day at this ad agency, and then I'd drive over to Disneyland from LA, and I'd just work until the park closed.
Wow. Well, it's just, what's cool about it is, you know, guys, everybody out there, there's so many ways to make a living as an artist. And I mean, Damian's done so many of them. I've done so many of them. And all of them are cool. I mean, doing any of them for a period of time is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always excited about my next project. You probably are too. You know, you get excited about doing one thing and then you're on to the next. So like, you know, drawing Disney cartoons or characters is one thing, but then drawing stuff for Marvel would be like totally different. So what was that like?
Well, probably my highlight was getting to spend time with Stan Lee.
Oh, wow. So you met.
Oh my gosh. And we were at a period where we could not get anything on the air because there was so much legal. You know how DC always had TV shows and had, you know, movies, Batman movies, everything. There really wasn't any Marvel movies for years and years and years. This was in the 90s. And part of the reason behind that was they had tied up so much of the rights to odd little, you know, manufacturers of beach towels and buckets and, you know, kind of weird merchandising, bad deals that when they went to sell the title and to do an actual show, they couldn't do it. So,
right.
But Marvel was really just the best time for me to get to hang around with those guys and to be able to see some real artists and yeah. And I will, you know, to this day, I get a little lump in my throat whenever I see the Marvel logo come up on the screen because we were really struggling back there in the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s were tough. Well, it just reminds me, you know, working at an ad agency and, you know, it just makes me think of like all these ideas and all these things in the communication between people. So like as an artist, you have to have very good communication skills and you need to be a good listener. So what I discovered, and I didn't know that I had this in me, you know, I'm really good at listening to what a client says or somebody says, or what they're trying, like they might not be able to say it, but they know what they want, or we know what their client wants, and be able to articulate that back to them in a way that is going to work. And I think that's a big thing that artists have that you don't realize that's a talent that you need.
It's almost like something else you have to refine, right?
Yeah, it's just as important as the drawing. So,
yeah.
And think about that. So, you know, being able to be a good listener and being like hyper aware, like, I mean, I found out that I'm just like super sensitive to everything and I'm hyper aware and I notice everything. And so they might tell you one thing, but they're actually saying something else. And so you got to catch that. Or also the guy might be like a 50-year-old man trying to do something that they're selling to kids. And you have to
he's the wrong guy for telling you what.
Yeah. And you're like, hey bro, I don't care what you like. You know, quite frankly, I care about what the kids like. And so having the confidence to tell that to him, and then he goes like, oh yeah. So that's being able to articulate and listen and understand what you're creating and who you're creating it for, which is a neat thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's that one side. I think one thing that Drew and I were talking about is there was certain jobs I did early on, which I did because I needed money as a kid, you know, drawing skateboards or t-shirts or anything to make a buck. And what I found out was those were dealing with people was even though I wasn't nuts about the artwork I was creating, it was developing critical skills for being able to express myself and also to get my ideas across. Because otherwise, you know, if you're just going, yes, sir, whatever you want, you know, and you're doing those old man ideas for a kid's, you know, project, you need to be able to articulate and be able to back up your point of view.
Yeah.
Can be scary, but I think it's a vital skill.
So I'm drawing a cheeky guy.
Oh,
And
Here's a question. Dash wants to know if you have any tips for getting proportions right for trying to draw a regular person, not a cartoony vibe.
yeah, I really do. And there is sort of a, I don't know the exact principle, but one of the best ways to do it on a figure is, and I don't have the exact number, but what a lot of people do that helps is they take this model of head height. So if you start with a head that's that high, and then I'm going to just eyeball this, but then we'll go back and see how close we are. So let's say that's a figure, and we like the proportions basically of that figure. Not a fashion model, but kind of a regular human being, maybe pretty statuesque, but I tend to go that way anyway. And then the theory is that you should be able to tell the height by counting the number of heads. So let's just do that real quick. I'm going to take this, we'll take one of these. See, you guys probably didn't know this, but this is also a fine measuring tool.
yeah.
So we're taking the head height right there. Can you guys see that? And so now I'm seeing, okay, there's one head height, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So about eight or 9 head heights will give us the right proportion. And you know, do you ever see in the you know, they do things like this in the you see an artist, they hold up their brush or something like that. They're oftentimes just checking the scale to make sure that works. So that's, and by the way, if you want to learn more about this, there's all kinds of diagrams. You remember, you probably look at the Da Vinci model where it shows
Vitruvian Man.
What's it called?
Vitruvian Man?
Is it really? There's a name for it?
Yeah.
Is Da Vinci part of the name? Did he get the name of that?
Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man.
Wow. See, I learned stuff here. The Drew Brophy show.
It was in the same sketchbooks that he did the Flower of Life drawings in. I'd like to have those things.
Yeah.
So Stephen wants to know if you have any examples of your early work. Maybe this is a good time for me to pull some of those images. And I think we have a couple older examples in there. You want me to bring those up?
Go for it.
Okay. And before I do, I want to wish Ruby Robinson a very happy birthday.
Hi, Ruby.
Happy birthday, Ruby. That's cool. Birthday night.
It's Phil's birthday, isn't it too?
Is it Phil's birthday?
No.
It's always his birthday.
We're going to make Phil share. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Poor Radical boy. Radical Rick always gets a bad chop. Look at that. Beating up 2018. That should have been 2020.
that should have.
Yeah. I'd love to get that over with again.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's see some more. Oh, I like this one. So you're just definitely part of that Southern California hot rod culture, hot rod surfing.
That one right there is watercolor, and a buddy of mine had that car, and I put my son in there. He doesn't look anything like that, to figure out like proportions and how he would fit. Like, son, hold onto the wheel and, you know, pull your arm back. And that one is just sort of inspired by 50s sci-fi.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. I don't know what the story is behind that, but there sure is a lot of action.
More Radical Rick.
Well, that's Radical Rick doing a
Tabletop.
over a swimming pool.
Look at, I love your hands. There's whoa, he's like inverted there.
Yeah, and that's mid 80s probably, with a bunch of bad guys, Scuzzer Switchblade and Butch Cartilage and Thrasher Bones, and then that little dorky guy on the right is MX Mug.
Which is you.
Yeah, probably more MX Mug than I am in Radical Rick. Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be Radical
Yeah.
Rick in there. How's this beach van? This beach van's cool with Radical Rick on top.
Yeah, that was for Cartoon Magazine. They gave me photos of that car actually exists. There's
Really?
a real car like that. Radical Rick usually drives a modified Cadillac called the Radillac. which was later modified to become the Atacalac. But that car, I wish I remember the name of the guy who did it. That's an actual, it's beautiful.
That looks cool. Oh, this is like really cool. This is kind of the whole beach vibe at
Yeah, this is again another family member making a cameo, and I would prop my daughter up on the stairs because the lighting is so cool when you get the right lighting, and I think it's sort of that yin and yang, you know, of all the stuff that we bring with us to the beach, everything that sort of, you know, then you get in the water and you get that just beautiful sort of refreshing break from all of it.
And you got a lot of family members drawing with us, don't you?
I have Dane, Ryder, Rowan, Emerald,
Holy smokes.
Annabella, Gemma, Sebastian, Horatio, Ophelia, Cannon, and Zion. And that's only the ones that I know.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
If you kids are out there, you got to say hi and tell us how we're doing.
There's a little function that you can press that makes it's a raise your hand function. If you raise your hand, we'll spotlight you and you can say hi and show us what you're working on. And this one I'm going to blow up.
Yeah, blow that one up.
There we go.
This is a good example of you know, she's got like that
curve. You see the curve in her. Yeah, and this is kind of tricky for me too, because one of the things I like to do is not just do babe art.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 daughters, so you know there's a conscious effort here to make her strong as a central, powerful, kind of medieval, you know, not medieval, but the sort of the Renaissance, a strong female figure. And matter of fact, there's a little allusion to Michelangelo lower right.
Yeah, I can
right?
see that.
But it's sort of that idea of, you know, there's a lot of people that talk, you know, and they're posers and they're trying to be all, you know, puff themselves up, and they're represented by that donkey and the kind of Elvis skull on the right.
Yeah.
And, you know, ultimately, what do we want to do? Let's just be true and get out, do what we want to do without being influenced by the confines and the things of this world, right?
Yeah, a lot going on in there. Is that all we have? Well, you can look up all his art, and I'm sure a lot of you already checked it out. I mean, it's just so fun looking at all his pictures. And you know, when's the last time you've done a big show?
My last big show was a really fancy schmancy one in Milan, and it was a lowbrow show with the Piz and with a bunch of guys,
Right.
and
that must have been fun.
a group show. It was awesome. I took my daughter with me, and can you guys see this tiki guy that's coming out? He's almost like a keep on trucking dude. Talk about foreshadowing.
Yeah.
He's coming right at you. And look at, see, I inspired you with a little bit of the
spear.
The spear.
Yeah, he's chucking this at Radical Rick. He's coming for him. See, I can't get the toes quite right.
I have to tell you something. Just trust me. I know how this ends up. And he can chuck all he wants, but in the end, Radical Rick will win. I don't know why. It just happens that way.
I just hope everybody is enjoying drawing as much as we are.
Yeah, this is pretty darn cool.
We put links to Damian's website and his Instagram in the chat, but he's pretty easy to find online. Just DamianFultonArt.com. And do we want to hop over and share with a couple more people?
Yeah, let's see some artwork.
Okay, so we've got Cinnamon. Cinnamon, we are going to spotlight you next. Please be ready with your work to show us. Let's see.
All right, Cinnamon, where's Cinnamon?
There she is. Look at her cool bat lantern.
Yeah. So what are you painting?
So I've been painting a board.
Oh, cool.
You are brave.
Yeah. So you're painting on the skimboard or skateboard?
Yeah. When it's up one way, the demon's flying and the angel's falling.
Oh,
and
wow.
if I flip it around, the demon is falling and the angel's flying.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good.
How do you like that? Are you happy with your composition, your idea?
Yeah, I'm happy of how it turned out and everything. I've also done some of the doodles with surfboard.
You are like kicking it out.
Yeah.
Where are you from, Cinnamon?
I'm from New Zealand in Wellington.
Good.
Oh.
What time is it there right now?
It's 12:45. It's like lunchtime around now.
Oh, okay.
That's not too bad.
Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Listen, Cinnamon.
And now we're going to go over to May. May.
Can't wait to see Cinnamon.
Hi.
Hey, May.
Hi.
What you working on?
I just wanted to show you a fin I made yesterday.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
so
inspired
good.
by you.
Oh,
So
That is great.
that's right now just been doodling this. It's not very good, very simple, but
hey, well done.
But it has attitude. So, you know, getting that attitude is important. And
yeah,
just sketch away. So where are you joining us from?
I'm in Senegal, West Africa. So it's
Oh,
one-
great.
Come on. That's awesome.
Amazing.
I've been in the airport there. They wouldn't let me off the plane. I was going to South Africa. And
which you should buy. It's a really good surf spot here, and
really,
we're a great community.
right on. I look forward to going there one day. It's on the bucket list. I want to go there in Nambia. I want to go down to
definitely.
Fulton Bay. So
Then the summer was here.
it was good. Nice meeting you. I can't wait to see your drawings all finished. Post them, please.
Thank you.
That's so great.
Crazy. She was so proud of her spot too, huh? Great surf here.
Oh, they get great waves in West Africa. I mean, there's just so many waves and yeah, I want to go to Morocco too. And I think that's one of the cool things, you know, we're sitting here sketching and you know, for me, I've always told you guys like travel is real important to me, going to these surf spots and meeting people and, you know, that's just where all my inspiration comes from, all the nature and cool people that I meet.
Yeah, you got it. I would imagine being surrounded by all this stuff. You have spent some time outdoors and out of Southern California.
Out of Southern California. So we got any more people that want to share?
Yeah, we do. We've got Cefe in Argentina. Cefe, we are going to spotlight you. Hi, how are you?
What's up, brother?
Very good. I've been working on our wave with the sunset, and I was waiting for this class for Charlton over here.
Yeah. So draw your character on
But
paper.
I don't know what to do.
What were you gonna say, Drew?
I thought about it, but they're like a little bit creepy.
Oh yeah.
Smart. Yeah, you're taking it as advice, right? You're gonna draw. Make sure you got your character before you commit to the board. Look, I think that's graph paper too. Is that graph paper? Is it grid on that? Is there kind of?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so maybe you could use that as a technique to get it.
It's only for math.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
I took it from folder.
Well, it's looking good. Yeah. So get your character just right before you put him on the painting, and then go for it, man.
Okay, now we're going to go over to Nancy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
See you later.
See you, SFA.
Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hey, Nancy.
Right on the beach here.
All right. You got the blends going. I like that skateboard. Where are you joining us from?
Redondo Beach.
Oh, so
Hey, you're a local.
You could just drive down here and hang out with us.
I know, huh? My sister lives in Mission Viejo.
right on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend? How long did that take you?
Maybe a couple hours.
Couple
Good,
hours.
yeah.
Yeah, I normally paint on canvas. I do a lot of faces and stuff.
Yeah. Are you enjoying the Posca pens?
Yeah, you know, I do. They tend to run out a lot, though.
Yeah, you just gotta shake. You gotta just shake them.
You want to see a face I did?
Yeah, let's see it. Maria, can you highlight it?
Yep.
Oh wow, that is awesome.
Like that.
Ready.
Now,
Yeah,
this is something I put on a canvas.
yeah,
Yeah. That hair is nice and subtle too, isn't it?
yeah. Good work. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He lives up by you.
It's my neighbor.
I know.
Yeah.
Her stuff's all happy. Your beach paintings are all like Mad Max comes to Redondo Beach.
All right, now we're gonna go. Okay, we're gonna go to Shannon, and then after Shannon, we're gonna go to Dash. So, and then after Dash, we'll go to Cairo. So everybody, just be ready.
Oh my! I know these guys. These guys are so happy. Shout out! How are you guys?
Very good.
Say hi.
Hi. Hi.
Show us what you're drawing. Let's see.
Well, I've just been drawing this Radical Rick page.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is so rad. He's got like firework hair.
Yeah, firework.
Fire.
Their dad's a fireman.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why that's happening right there.
Yeah. Let's see what everybody else is working on.
I've been drawing little chicken surfing.
A chicken surfing. That's a great idea.
You know, the water just falls right off their back.
Yeah.
Those are good. Nice little curves.
Yeah. I'm not sure if chickens can swim, but they can surf.
Yeah, they never fall off the boards because, you know, what happens.
Yeah. Let's see.
I've been drawing, it's like a little monster chasing these little guys, and then I'm working on that little guy is gonna be carrying like a spear and trying to throw it at the like circular guys.
No, that's great.
He's like you, a heroic character, right?
Yeah. You got to make your monster like really big.
Bigger monster. Bye, you guys. We'll see you at Thanksgiving.
Awesome.
Yeah. This is
All
awesome.
right, we're gonna go to Cairo now.
Cairo.
Cairo.
What's up, Cairo?
Cairo's a regular with our paint parties.
Here, click it back on Cairo. I can't see him.
Wait a minute. Sometimes if the internet connection's weak, it pops off.
Okay. I have no idea what I've been making.
Whoa, that looks cool.
Like a
Everybody
Oh, look at, he's got a superhero guy on the top. He's like a high one. Is it Spider-Man?
No.
It's your own character. It's Random Man.
Random Man.
Cairo,
Guys.
good work, man.
Thanks, Cairo.
Good work, Cairo.
It's good to see you, brother.
All right, we're gonna hop over to Dash. Dash, hope you're ready for us. Show us what you got. How you doing?
Good. I appreciate you guys answering the question. It helped out.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Nice. Oh,
Do
look.
it on separate pages.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dash, well done, man.
That's amazing.
The hands in the face are probably the hardest for me to figure out right now.
Yeah.
You make pages of hands and feet. That's like so you just sit there and do it in every which way. You got any
Can I
tips?
show you guys what I did with the Flower of Life? I got pretty into it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, that's like super spacey, man.
I think that's like the most unique flower of life I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, good job, man. Because it really looks like space, and like that's what it's meant to kind of articulate, like this interconnected feel that gives you this perception and depth. So good
Yeah,
job.
I really appreciate these classes, and thanks for answering the question about the proportions too.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
well
joining
done,
us.
man. It's showing up.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna hop over to Rita. Let's see, Rita, we have to unmute you. How you doing, Rita?
Hey, Rita. Hey, she's a regular.
Hi.
Yeah, you got a lot of regulars.
Yeah, hi.
So what you working on? You got some kind of crazy character?
I just did a very quick sketch.
Look at that.
Oh,
Very quick sketch.
Yeah.
That's
and then
pretty awesome for quick.
put her on like a surfboard. I just started adding stuff to her. So
That's perfect.
is that a good exercise, Rita? We see the little beautiful line in there. Did that help you?
it did because I don't usually do figures too much. So it really did help me to kind of do the line of action in there. So yeah, that started it all. And I just then almost started with like a triangle for the top of her and a triangle for the bottom, and did the 60s hairdo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at her laugh. I mean,
know.
she's having a blast. You had fun, huh?
Very much so. Very
Great.
much so. It was great.
Thank
Thanks.
you. And that's what it's all about, is like creating this like idea. I mean, when you think about it, everything had to be like created. And it came out of somebody's imagination. Every painting, every movie, somebody had to draw this microphone. Somebody had to design this pen. You know, just anything is possible. You know, you just come up with these funny ideas, and you think of something like SpongeBob. I mean, how hilarious is SpongeBob? And, you know, all the little funny things of just letting go. And, you know, I was getting to think, like, do you have any tips on, you know, like sometimes I draw like in angles, like kind of square, and then sometimes I do like little circles. I know when I'm doing figure drawing, so a lot of you like doing like real, you know, figures, like kind of like what he's doing here, if we can switch to there. You know, that's a whole nother process where you know, you're actually looking at somebody and you're trying to, you know, make sure that everything's in the right spot. And man, it is just, it's just a fun process when you get it right. So I took one figure drawing class, and it was amazing because, you know, it was a model, and she's only posing for 30 seconds sometimes, and you got to do it really quick.
That's you better get the gesture right. Like,
yeah, and gesture, that's the perfect word. So that's kind of what we're setting up, is the gestures of what is this all about. So practice that from people. Like, so you might be sitting around and watching people, and you start gesturing like what they're feeling. So like, obviously the difference between somebody who's got a good posture and a bad posture, somebody with a bad posture might look exhausted or deflated. They're like sitting there like this, versus somebody who's upright and alert and like ready to go, like almost like a soldier or something.
I want to show you something, Drew. Maybe you've done something I learned recently is the power of silhouette, right? So sometimes I think we miss the opportunity to get an attitude. But sometimes, you said, is there another way to approach the figure?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's worthwhile to just sort of scribble and get the volume, right? So that we're not, as like you were talking about a guy who's tired, you know, and worn down.
Yeah.
Well, there's certain kind of, you know, cues that tell you that somebody is really, really spent. But see, I can get a pretty nice silhouette, and that already gives me a bit of an attitude.
Yeah.
And the same way, like if I want to show somebody who's super excited, you know, I can just start by there's my line of action right there, by the way. But you know, I can just start by kind of like if you were to take Drew's Tiki runner and you just saw the silhouette, you would know exactly what he's doing because the silhouette is so strong. And I think that's one of the most important things that I learned, that if you can get the silhouette right, you know, it's almost like a shadow can tell the story.
Yeah.
So already I know, okay, that's got the line of action and energy in it. And
you could draw like 100 of these in 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not like, oh my gosh, am I, you know, doing the right thing? Early on, I showed you that sort of classic Mickey hello pose. And you can see it's volume, and I'm not so worried about, you know, where the line goes and where everything hits just perfectly, because I know that by just doing sort of these volume, now I can go back in, kind of like what you were he sort of carved out where his guy is, and then he can go back in and you know you have the shape because you can see the silhouette, right? Now you can go back in, do your Mickey Mouse, do all your details, and you're not sweating it as much. But I think this is a good discovery tool.
Yeah.
There's
my little
there's Mongo, right? Takes some of the pressure off of performing, you know, of making sure that your guy is right. And then you can kind of refine him out, your silhouette and stuff like that. I don't know. That's one thing that I do sometimes.
Well, and it also just brings up like, you know, I wish I had some here, but like, I can't stress upon you enough how many drawings go into all the things that we do. And it all comes down to doing this type of stuff, especially when you're starting from scratch and you're just scribbling these little ideas. And most of them are a no, like, okay, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. And then you hit on something, you're like, ooh, that's it.
And that's back to your kind of thumbnail idea, where it's okay to fail. And sometimes they get better and better and better. I get rusty. And so I kind of have to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and then all of a sudden, oh, I kind of see the guy there.
Paper. You got plenty of paper over there? He's going through paper like no tomorrow.
So we have just a few minutes left, and I wanted to let a couple other people share.
Yeah, let's hear from everybody.
So we're going to go to Andrew Johnson in a second, and then we're going to go to Andina and a couple more people. So Andrew, we're going to spotlight you right now. Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Hey,
Andrew. There's two of them.
Let Avon show you a couple of his things he's been drawing.
Yeah, sure. Let's see it.
I drew this on a
What?
God, that is great. Good shading in that. That blend that you have from dark to light on the light blue is amazing.
How old are you?
11.
Good
Well
job.
done, dude.
You're way better than I was at 11. Yeah.
And this is my flower life.
Oh man, that is awesome. So how did you enjoy doing that? Was that fun?
Yeah, the first few times I couldn't get it, but then I started to get it as I went on, and
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. So
Yeah. Good job, man.
I was going to ask.
Just want to show you this one. Been working on for action.
That is amazing.
So does dad and son paint together?
Yeah, we've been doing this together since you guys been starting it. You know.
Oh man,
each session.
That is good, and it's just, I just love seeing the experience, and I love sharing all my friends with you guys. You know, I feel very lucky to know guys like Phil and Damian and Jimbo and Chloe Trujillo. I mean, these are all fantastic artists, and it's cool that we all get to hang out. I mean, it really is. I mean, we're sitting here, there's nobody on my street out front, and here we are hanging out with all of you.
From all around the world.
And now we're going to Argentina. We're going back to Argentina to Andina. And Andina, you are going to have to unmute yourself because it won't let me. So you have to do it on your end.
There she is.
Hi.
Hi.
Let's see what you're working on, Andina.
I've been working, and the first time I didn't know what to do, and well, I started drawing, and this began in my head.
Oh, that is great. It looks like laughing meatballs. And then you got an octopus.
Yeah, it's like a monster that like squished two monsters, like laughing.
Yeah, it's great creativity.
It's kind of like a cat face too. Do you see the cat
Yeah,
face
so it's
in
like
there?
almost like an invisible cat with just the eyes and the mouth.
Yeah.
So
Good
that's
job.
really good because you're like exploring and you know the imagination. Now you could come up with a whole story behind that.
Yeah, and then my dad gave me this page.
Let's see.
Then I'm going to draw it. It's like a page
Yeah. So
with like trees drawing.
yeah.
I'm like going to color the trees a little bit more so you can see it better then, and I'm going to draw something up there.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for joining. You kids have been doing a great job down there. I look forward to meeting you guys one day.
So now we're going to go from Argentina all the way to Japan to CJ French. Oh, but CJ, you have to turn your video on and you have to unmute yourself. So we'll come back to you. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay, there we go. Hi.
Hey.
This is what I'm working on.
Oh my gosh, huge project.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a canvas. I usually shy away from doing people because like the details, the faces and stuff are really hard. So I'm saving that for the end.
Well, it's good. You got the good hang loose, and I see you're hiding the hand behind. So I do that all the time. If I don't feel like doing the hands, I just hide it behind something.
It's just good.
Yeah, there needs to be a few more plump surfers out there. So.
Hey, and CJ, I wanted to tell you, I love following you on Instagram because I love it when you post pictures of you out surfing. It just makes me happy.
Thank you so much. I can't wait until you guys come visit.
I know. We're going to come visit and you and I are going to go surfing together. for sure.
Absolutely.
Cool. Can't wait.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that done. That's the coolest thing. We get to see all these done on Instagram. And you're just like, oh my gosh, I saw that. It's like so.
Now we're gonna go see our buddy Shaka. Shaka, you gotta unmute yourself. Hi.
What's up, Shaka?
What a cool name.
Hi.
Yeah, what are you?
I'm working on this.
Oh,
man, that's good
skateboarder.
detail.
That's awesome.
Dropping into a half pipe. It's got like a pier in the background.
Yeah, that's cool. It's hard to work small, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, but you're doing a great job at
Look
it.
at his little backhand flipped up like that.
Yeah, good
You
job.
having fun? You drawing?
Thanks. Yes.
Oh, it looks
I'm
great.
having so much fun. Thanks for this.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for joining us.
Now
Can't
we're
wait
gonna-
to see everything finished.
We're gonna head over to Hot Rod, another regular. Hot Rod's already there. Hey, I love that you're always ready for us.
One of my hot rods here.
Got the Road Runner.
Road Runner. We got the Wile E. Coyote. He's squished on the surfboard there.
Yeah.
The 5th anniversary of the Road Runner in '73. So.
Oh,
right.
The figure motion is really good. That's really helps to loosen me up. It's a very good point. Thank you.
Yeah, well, like you notice, like in that hot rod art of like Ed Roth and stuff like that, they really loosened up those cars, and
yes,
they cartoonized them, and which was just so cool.
For sure.
And you know, when you hear one of those cars peel out, it's almost like you imagine it bending and.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love Damian's work. Excellent.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, now we're gonna go over to Kurt. Kurt's been dying to share. Hey, Kurt, what's up? Good to
How you
see
doing?
you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Damian, I got a picture for you.
Oh, there we go.
You're killing me. That's so good. Yeah, that's like an old style number plate. I mean, that's ancient.
Yeah.
I did it about I think 4 paint parties ago.
Yeah. Oh, did you really?
Yeah, it was during a class when Drew was teaching the color blending techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
And I have a question for Drew real fast.
Yeah, sure, man.
Hey, Drew, I used when you clear coat your surfboards, you use Krylon, satin, or gloss clears.
Yeah.
Are they fingerproof? Because I did the clear gloss with Mod Podge High Shine, but it shows fingerprints. How do you avoid that?
It's probably too thick, and so you got to just make sure it dries in between coats. So
I did 3 thin coats to let each coat dry before I did the next one, and then it's really smooth and all, but it leaves like just a little bit of fingerprinting. That's all.
yeah, you know, clear coating is like a whole science in itself. You know, it's like it's taken me years to get things right at troubleshooting. So without knowing exactly what happened, it's hard to troubleshoot it. But don't beat yourself up with that kind of stuff. The clear coating is tough.
So Damian, you've got a nephew, I think, Martin Taylor.
Oh, Horatio.
Uncle Damian.
No, there, you're showing what you did. Show him.
Let's see.
Oh, Horatio.
Look at him go.
What is it, Raish?
Duck surfing.
It's a duck surfing.
Duck surfing.
Ah. Oh, and there's Ophelia in the background. Hi, Ophelia.
She was on.
That's cool. It's so great seeing all the kids draw. I want you to fill that whole page up.
Yeah, show it to me when you're done. Send it to me all filled. That's a good assignment.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I tell the kids to get rid of all the white.
All right, so we're really over time, and so we're gonna end with Phil Roberts.
Oh, what's up, brother?
Phil Roberts, are you there?
Hey, Phil. And look.
Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Can you just what? That is the weirdest thing ever.
Look at me.
Look how narrow my ankles are.
Phil, you're
Oh
killing me.
my God. Phil, you crack me up. And by the way, Phil, okay.
Are you not? is your thing on, your sound?
Is my mic on?
Yeah, his
You're
mic's on, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How are you? You left the house yet?
No.
Dude.
You need me to bring you some food? You doing good?
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to show Damian this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the book I got the drawings out of. That's the original too. They've
How
reformed it.
old is that book?
I've had this since I was 10, so it's 50 years old.
Yeah,
And that thing.
That's amazing. And I see it was only $1 back then, and that was probably, that's really cool. You still have that book.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I use it to teach my daughter now.
so I got a package in the mail from a guy named Phil Roberts today. So I'm going to spotlight myself so I can show what I got. Phil, you did this. I love it. This is me. Thanks, Phil. And then you also sent me this drawing of Jimbo Phillips, which I think I'm going to have to mail this to Jimbo because he really, this is so cool. So thank you. And of course, he sent me other goodies too, but these are the ones that really stand out.
Posca pens.
So Phil, can I ask you a question? Like, we'll have to have you back on and do like a caricature and really teach us how to nail somebody's personality and likeness.
I'll be bringing this book.
Yeah. So did that? So do you think that book at an early age really helped in, like, get you motivated to be an artist?
Oh, absolutely. In this book, it shows you how to break a person's face down into shapes. And let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, all the planes.
It simplifies the shapes, you know, to really, you know, it's where I started doing caricatures.
Yeah. And you're right. Like I never really thought about it until I was older. I started looking at people's faces, and you know, if you look at Damian's face, it's like really, you know, angular, and you know, some
this page right here. So all the different shapes of the heads and everything like that. I mean, that's just, it simplifies it, and that's
so
how I started.
classic, right? It's so classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's still good today.
Bill, do you remember seeing logos all over the place of like the bulldog and everything? And the guy just ripped off the book.
Well, you know, I went to Melbourne High School, and their mascot was the bulldog, and it was the bulldog from this book.
Right. Yeah, they just took it right from it.
So, you know, for the entire time I was there, I was doing that bulldog surfing and playing basketball and playing football. I did that bulldog in every possible way, and did T-shirts of that bulldog the whole time. So I have that bulldog on lock.
Yeah.
It's, you know, burned into my memory.
It's funny that repetition really works. I used to have to draw this crazy clown on lost surfboards, and it was just really popular. And I got to the point where I could literally draw that thing in my sleep.
Yeah.
And that repetition really helps, guys. So, you know, keep your sketchbook, you know, draw a lot, and have fun with it. Put music on and giggle and draw funny things. And it's obviously helped Phil, it's helped Damian, it's helped me. So practice your drawing and draw with action. You know, really try to exaggerate your figures. It's just been awesome. So everybody had fun, yeah? Damian?
And I gotta say, this was so amazing. There were so many amazing comments in the chat, and people just learning so much just from sitting here and drawing and watching and listening. And there were more people that wanted to share than we had time. So that just means you'll have to come back on Monday. We're doing this again on Monday. But Monday we're doing another thing with sacred geometry. Do you know what you're doing yet?
I think I'm gonna break down some different ideas, but I don't have it all worked out yet. I don't have a lesson plan yet, but
it'll be a surprise.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise. And maybe I'll do like how some of the sacred geometry, you know, you can use it for, you know, almost like a scaffolding for some of your other ideas. Kind of like this painting in the background of of the sun here, the Veracocha. You can see it this over here. And anyway, it just as a layout piece, and you know, so if you marry those two things, like this geometry, this really hard geometric grid with this really fun, super exaggerated, you know, sketching.
You can
yeah.
see it right there, huh?
Yeah, and you can see it. And so those two things married together are like really cool. So yeah, we'll do something like that.
Yeah. So, and I want to remind everybody, if you need a supply of Posca paint pens, you can get them at brophyartacademy.com. And I want to thank Damian so much.
He's the man.
It's such a treat having you. I know you put a lot of thought in everything, and you've just been so great.
Oh, thank you for having me. My
yeah,
wife just showed up. Hi, honey.
Oh, you're right. I was wondering who you were waving
But
to.
I really appreciate this. This was so much fun, and it was fun to talk to Drew, and you know, we had a similar background, and it's just great to have somebody who you can talk to about this stuff.
And it really feels like we've hung out with all these people everywhere.
I know. We need to do this again. We need to do this again. And please, everybody, if you're on Instagram, come back here and say hi. If you're on Instagram, find Damian. Your Instagram is what? Damian Fulton.
It's just Damian Fulton.
Just Damian Fulton. Damian. Find him on Instagram. Leave him some nice comments and thank him for taking the time to come all the way down here from Los Angeles and do this for us.
So nice to be here. Thank you guys.
You
appreciate it.
are
really
amazing. Thank you. Come say hi.
Come say hi.
All your
before we
nieces.
say goodbye, we're gonna say hello to Elisa. Fulton.
All the nieces and nephews are on, honey. So make sure you say hi.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everybody. Have an amazing weekend.
Yeah.
Love you all. Life is good. Ciao.